Gardening can sometimes be bewildering, which is why I am so pleased that we have snuggled up with our friends at Crocus for this podcast series. As you probably know, Crocus is the most trusted online gardening brand. Their website is stuffed full of advice, inspiration, and of course, plants and products to help bring your dream garden to life. Check out Crocus's website to find out more. If you find something that you just cannot resist, use the code ScribeHound20 at the checkout to enjoy 20% off all full-price plants until October the 31st, which is, of course, Halloween. Hello, and welcome to the Scribe Hand Gardening Podcast. My name is James Alexander-Sinclair, and over there, looking sultry, I think, probably.
Okay, I'll take that over as sort of angry or violent.
I think sort of sultry and poised is Joe Swift. And we are here to talk to you about the fringes of horticulture. Those little bits of gardening that perhaps get ignored by other podcasts.
That's why we're here. We're filling in the gaps, aren't we?
Yes.
Or are we just offering an alternative?
No, I think that what we're doing is that we are the pointing between the bricks of practicality.
Oh, that's lovely.
Isn't that nice?
I like it. That's our USP.
That's it. We will not tell you how to grow potatoes.
No.
Or how to prune your roses, but we will fill you in on the more esoteric and perhaps, I think, more creative sides of horticulture.
Yeah, and more fun.
And more
potentially. Fun. But I imagine people listening to us either, some will be out in their, I like the idea that someone is gardening while we're chatting away about gardens.
Yep.
And so it's not just, this is how to prune my roses, and I'm pruning my roses, and am I doing it right or am I doing it wrong? It's expanding the subject out into fields all over. Well, we've gone global as well, you know, Jimmy.
I think all over the world we are.
We are global.
There are people listening, and I like the idea because okay, to be perfectly honest, a certain amount of things that you do in the garden are repetitive.
Yeah.
And do not require full concentration, which means that it's quite nice to, sometimes it's the idea of just being in the moment.
It's immersion.
And gardening and, bird song and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's quite nice to have a headphone in and to be listening to somebody chatting about something. And so that's what we are. We are the headphone fillers. In the same way as a Jaffa cake has an orangey zesty filling, we provide the orangey zesty filling to your gardening. Does that work quite nicely?
I love it.
Yeah? Today we're going to talk about front gardens.
Yes, okay.
Many people have a front garden and a back garden.
They do. And a side passage sometimes, you see?
I don't.
No, don't you? No.
Well, I mean, the front garden at the front of is basically the village green.
Right.
And so we've done a little bit of gardening on that, along with the community. And we made this decision last year as a village. I mean, it's a very small village I live in, that we were going to let some of the grass on the village green grow a little bit longer.
Ooh.
And we put some daffodils in
Rewilding, you rewilding it.
Little. I think it's rewilding because it never was in the first place. But it used to be the pub car park years ago when there was a pub in the village. And I mean, quite why there's a pub in a village with 30 houses in it is quite odd. But anyway, it was. And so we did a bit of that, and I sowed a bit of yellow rattle.
Lovely.
In order to reduce the vigour of the grass, and there's some oxidase and foxglove. So we're doing a little. That's pretty much where my front garden is. So that's what you come past, and then the back garden there. But I think that what we're talking about more is what I would say was the conventional front garden, which is pretty much.
Yeah, we're not talking about village greens. That's another podcast.
No,
you're just because you haven't got a front. Do you feel left out here?
I do feel slightly left out.
Because I haven't got a front garden anymore. No more.
No, you haven't. That's true.
I have had a front garden, and I've designed many a front garden. Have you designed many front gardens?
I have done. Well, I haven't done as much stuff in urban districts in cities as you have.
Yeah.
But I've done a few. Okay, front gardens. My front gardens that I can remember having in my life. When I first left school, I lived in a basement, and it had a front garden that basically had a bin in it. And my second one was a front garden that was maybe, I don't know, a yard wide.
Okay.
And so that also had a bin in it too. So there's this thing.
There's a theme. There's a nice theme coming through here.
Isn't it?
Well, that is one of the main issues and the main problems of the modern world is the bin, the wheelie bin, the recycling bin, the council composting bin, or the glass recycling. So you've got 3 or 4 things.
The food bin. Do you have a food bin?
Yeah, there's a food bin. Yeah, that's the that's the composting bin. Often it goes in the same place. Have you ever been to one of those massive composting sites, a council composting site?
No, I'd really like to go.
I filmed once, and it's incredible. Up in Middlesex or something, there's all the stuff from North London and all the surrounding places, and they're these huge piles, about 15 of them, I think. They're enormous, and this incredible machine, goes and breaks it up and turns them all over, and you could literally cook a potato in the middle of one of those compost heaps.
I think I'm going to stop you there because I think we should do a whole podcast about composting at some point.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about bins, but you're right.
But that's where it all ends up anyway. So some people say, "Oh, don't compost at home. Oh, you've got to compost at home." But actually, the council will take it away, compost it, and you can get it back.
Probably
off them.
do it more effectively.
Well,
but we're not talking about compost.
No,
Stay away from compost.
No. Okay, so that is the problem with front gardens. Is you've got all these issues. All that stuff needs to go in the front garden. Then also in Hackney, we had 4 bicycles as well. I built this little green wall and hid them, and it was quite cleverly designed because I designed it, and it worked nicely. But this is the problem, that the front garden, which used to be a sociable place, a very sociable place where people would garden together out the front and chat to their neighbours over the hedges, and they did tend to be hedges. And now they are barren places with bins, a bit like the one you had.
Yeah, I mean, yes, exactly. And the bins have changed since those days. Then it used to be a single bin that everything went into. And now there's a lot of bins. I walk down streets in cities now, and each one, as you say, has got 3 bins, and there isn't space for it. And I'm not quite sure what the solution is. The other problem that we have is people parking their cars on their front gardens, which is also, I mean, a lot of houses in this country were built quite a long time ago when we didn't have, each house had at least one car. And now you're trying to find somewhere where you don't have to pay, you get away from paying to park somewhere or parking illegally. And so there is this problem. And I remember...
Yeah, they get a drop curb and they pave over their front garden or gravel over their front garden. And all the plants have gone, and it's not a front garden anymore, it's a car park.
Exactly, and I feel that many years ago, there was a debate at the RHS. We had it was before I was anything to do with the RHS, and I just went along there as a sort of journalist, and the debate was about front gardens, and this was probably 25 years ago, I think probably, and still we have the same conversation. It's the idea is don't tarmac or concrete over your front garden, and the reasons
now
for that.
Now there are SUD's law. There's laws.
Exactly.
There are laws now stopping you just flushing all the water, the catchment that would end up on your front garden, just putting it out into the street because you have flash floods and there's issues
and all sorts of things. So there are ways around this. Which the simplest thing to do is to basically use gravel. We love gravel on this podcast, don't we?
Love a bit of gravel. Gravel's a fine material.
Because the water goes through it, you can grow stuff in it. It's cheap, it's easy. I remember you giving a long talk. I've heard this talk a lot of times at various shows, which is basically
It's paid the mortgage. It's paid the mortgage for years. That talk.
It's known as Joe's perimetorial talk.
My perimetorial.
It's very good talk.
Thank you.
But there's quite a lot. There's a bit. I remember at the back you saying, and at the back here. This is my Joe impersonation.
Yeah,
at the back here, we just put some gravel.
That's a bit too aggressive, James.
Lots of gravel.
Well,
gravel.
Because you want something free draining, you've run out of money by then, because by the time you've designed this lovely garden that I've designed and you've added in all the paving and planting and everything,
and the movement
and the perimeter, you got away from the perimetorial planting, a word that I've got on television twice and it doesn't actually exist, but one day I'm going to get it into a dictionary because everyone knows what it means.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Perimetorial planting. Mark Diacono, he just texts me every now and then, perimetorial, like that, and we have this sort of shorthand And
Yeah.
so gravel is great because, yeah, it's cheap. You don't have to lay it like you would, slabs or decking, whatever, and water just drains through it. And like you said, you can plant through it. And that's the problem with front gardens, is that plants are completely missing out. But there is always a space to put plants in.
Because if you think of a car, how much of a car is touching the ground?
Well, four wheels.
Exactly, but that's not a big space.
No.
There's an awful lot. You can plant underneath the car to a certain extent because it's
I've
not,
seen
it's
some
not
great
there all
front
the time.
gardens where they've been planted
So
at the middle
it's
section.
just this narrow track where the wheels will go,
Yeah.
where things will not grow. And, if something grows in that direction, then sadly it gets squished. But if you plant around it and make it easy, I mean, obviously you need to leave space so you can get out of the car, because otherwise, if you plant a great big spiky plant next to your driver's side, then the only way to get out, and I don't think I'm capable of doing this anymore, is to crawl into the back seat and get out the boot.
No, that's not practical, James.
No, that's not practical. So you need to. Practicality is really important in garden design, and that's a whole new subject. It's about things that are designed without thinking about their purpose.
Yeah.
So in a front garden, particularly, you're going to get out the car. You're going to need to get your
Yeah, bit of
shopping
space,
out,
bit
do
of
all that
space.
kind of stuff. You need some space around it, but there will still be room in every single front garden, no matter how small. If it's big enough for a car, it's big enough for some plants.
And there's all the edges. You see, you can't park your car right into the edges, and also the house walls, the fence on either side, or hedges on either side, the front wall. These are the areas that we can green up. Then there's the idea of little green roofs over your bin stores.
Yeah.
So reclaiming that piece of land that you've lost, or you got your bins on there, and it just needs a bit of imagination. Last year I filmed for Garden as well this amazing street in Finsbury Park, and it was an incredible community, and the horticulture just spread down the street, and everyone was so proud of their front gardens. I think they opened it for the National Garden Scheme.
How did that start? Was
It started with one woman on the corner who was just really keen gardener, and she only had a front garden. So she started gardening, and then they started a little gardening club, and she was passing on that knowledge to everybody. And there's all sorts, so diverse, and what people grow is so diverse as well. Some people are growing veggies and herbs and stuff in the front garden. Others are, going. One woman's just gone for a completely purple and white look, and there's a few plants that are self-seeding their way along, and it's just it totally transforms the street. People love walk. They make a detour to walk down that street to enjoy other people's front gardens.
Nice?
There's something really special about it, and it's funny, having lived out of London now for a couple of years, when you go back, you really notice there are really strong communities, and horticulture and gardening and front gardens can bring people together,
They
James,
can.
in such a wonderful way.
They can, and they do that in Spain. There's a special name for it. When basically what happens is that as the heat of the day cools.
Yeah.
So it's that nice bit, just
The golden hour.
The golden hour.
Yeah.
Where it's not so hot, and people take a chair and they come out and they sit on their front doorstep, and other people come along and sit next to them, and everybody gets together and has a chat.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we haven't got so much.
We're
any longer,
losing.
because people are putting tall hedges, because what they get a bit obsessed about is the privacy thing.
Yeah.
So okay, if you're gardening in your front garden,
Yeah.
then the disadvantage is that people can come and talk to you, and the vicar comes along and asks for money for the organ fund or whatever it is, or you can't hide. I mean, you have a tall hedge and you'll lie flat to hide from the Jehovah's Witnesses or whoever's coming round. But people are sort of worried, and they're sort of hiding away because they want the privacy. They don't want people to intrude on their personal space. Well, actually, what's nice, as you've said about the street that you're talking about, it's nice that you sort of get together and you chat to your neighbours. You don't have to live with them. You don't have to see them every day, but it's nice just to have a little bit of interaction, isn't it, really?
Most people had a bench or a chair in their front garden as well. They were big enough to have, they were, I don't know, they were only maybe 3 or 4 meters, but they were big enough to have and it was south facing, so a lot of people had a small tree, which was lovely. Because also it's about tying the house into the landscape. And multiple front gardens tie those houses into the streetscape
Together, yes.
Together.
Yeah.
So they're doing and wildlife, which we're going to do a special on. We'll probably take over Springwatch. Have you had a call from them yet?
Not as yet.
Have they been in touch with me? Yeah, they want us. They want us to take over.
I just think that I would make a good Michaela Strachan.
Yeah, you definitely. I'll do the Chris Packham thing, obviously.
Yeah,
because I know so much about wildlife that I can just rattle it all off.
And punk rock.
And punk rock, Big Sex Pistols. I met once, and that's a
You met a Sex Pistol?
We did the one show together, me and Chris Packham years ago, and we ended up with these little. They had, you know what they had the Brotherhood of Fizz. Now guess which two bands they stuck together. They stuck together to make the Brotherhood of Fizz.
A horrible genetic experiment between Brotherhood of Man and Bucks Fizz.
And I couldn't anyway. They were all together, and they had a lot of makeup applied. Put it that way, and I just had a little bit to take the shine off the top of my head. And Chris Packham was there plugging Springwell. I was there plugging the Chelsea Flower Show, and we had to stand there at the end listening to the Brotherhood of Fizz with these little flags. Me and Chris Packham, and he literally. He chucked his over his shoulder and said, "I'm not doing this. I used to be into the Pistols," like that. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm with you, brother." And I chucked it. I was like, I cannot be pretending to, And they did a whole medley. They did a medley of those two bands, sticking all their songs together. Oh man, it's a funny world.
Did they do the thing where they tear the skirts off?
No,
Making
I think
your mind up.
I'll be honest with you. I think. I got to be a bit careful how I say this. I think they're maybe a little bit past that stage.
Okay, fine, yeah.
Not past it, past that stage in there.
All right, so they missed that bit out.
Yeah.
But okay, so
anyway.
Spring Watch.
So no, but
front gardens.
No, wildlife. Bring it back to wildlife.
Yeah, but wildlife in front gardens. Yes, there is a place for wildlife.
Oh, definitely.
There is a place for wildlife. But interestingly, the other thing about you're talking about planting trees in front gardens.
Yeah, well, we've got pollution as well.
Well, it's not just pollution, but it's also sometimes, depending on which way you're facing, but sometimes it just gets a bit too hot and you need some shade. And the best way to get shade into a room or into a building is to have a tree. And there's this quite clever balance that you have to get right in that you don't want to take so much light out of it so it becomes gloomy, but you still be able to get some shade. So it's actually quite a clever thing to do to design a front garden well.
Yes.
And to get it right, because you need to get, so the essential elements in the front garden is you need to get from the gate to the front door.
Yep.
And you want to do that as directly as possible.
And not just you, it's also the postman, Amazon drivers, all these Deliveroo, all that lot have to do it. The milkman. They don't do it. Yes, some people have milkmen. Sometimes
it's the milkman.
Who was saying that they get their kombucha delivered by the milkman? It was Deborah Meadham on the she goes, I get my kombucha delivered by the milkman. Really? How fancy is that?
That is very fancy. She should make her own kombucha. Yeah. Celestia makes her own kombucha. It's really, really good.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's it. Make your own, Deborah.
Would you like to? Would you like to make your own kombucha?
I don't really like. Kath loves it. I'm not really into kombucha.
Okay, well, I have to send it because what happens is that you have the thing called a SCOBY that sits in a jar and basically looks like a cross between a damp brioche and a fungus and a jellyfish.
Right.
And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And every so often you have to go in there and cut it in half, and you can then give that away to somebody else, and then they can make kombucha from it.
Okay, so it's like a starter bread, like it's like a sourdough starter thing.
And so that's what would happen if you had a good community going in your front gardens.
Yes.
Is that you could pass your SCOBY down.
I see what you did there.
You see?
You pass your SCOBY down the front garden
road,
line.
and then they bring something back. Because that's the other the thing about communities is you then begin to share stuff.
Yeah.
And if it's in your front garden, then it's obvious. If you've got a plum tree in your front garden, then you're going to have enough to share all the way up the road. If you've got, what other things do you have in your front garden?
I'll tell you, just remind me of something, because there's this brilliant street in Highbury. In fact, there's lots of streets in Highbury now, but there used to be this one.
Just so that we.
No, because it's sharing.
No,
it's
hang on.
It's on
just
theme.
So that, I know it's on theme, but just so that remember, we're talking to internationally here.
Yeah.
When you say where is Highbury, what's important about it?
So if I put an American accent,
no, don't do that. Don't do that.
You did one.
I know.
Okay, so Highbury is the heart. Well, it's the home of football, isn't it? Really, let's call it that. So it's where the Arsenal Stadium was, but it's Highbury is in Islington, which is in North London.
Okay.
But it could be. But what was lovely about it is not that it was in Highbury, but there was a whole street that had privet hedges and box hedges and everything, and they turned it into a train.
The hedge, one hedge.
Yeah, the whole hedge was turned all the way down the street. all the way down the street. So people had carriages, and the person at the end had the engine, and it was brilliant. So as you look down it was great. And then there's also a guy who topiarizes people's hedges, and he's called Mr. Bush, and I'm not joking. That is his name. I think he's called Matthew Bush. He's an architect, and people have got overgrown hedges, and there's a troop of elephants, there's swans, there's chipmunks, it's incredible. And so in certain areas of Finsbury Park and Highbury, there's this guy topiarizing people's front hedges that are completely overgrown, and it just adds so much character and fun to the neighbourhood.
Has he been invited to do this, or is he doing it under cover of darkness?
He just started doing it for a couple of friends, and now people pay him, and I think he donates the money to a charity, because he's an architect by trade, so I think he gives the money to a charity.
Think that's such
I
a
just
nice
love
idea.
it that he's called Mr. Bush as well.
Well, Mr. Bush is perfect too, just to be able to do that and to bring not just a sense of togetherness, but also some humour.
Some humour.
To make it amusing,
exactly.
really. And it's fun. You walk down. I remember going to, oh gosh, who was it? I think it might have been, he was a very distinguished landscape architect, and I'm trying not to say what their name is because I can't remember it, and maybe somebody else. But do you think they'll be listening or not? I think, anyway, I went there, and
Of course they're listening.
Of course they're listening, but I can't, okay.
Now, go on, name them.
I think it was Hal Mogridge, but I can't remember.
Okay.
Very distinguished landscape architect. They had a tea set cut into the hedge in their front garden. And wasn't that nice? You go along and it's you, and there's a teapot and some cups and things like that. If it's not him, then I apologise. And I also apologise to the person who's this. But it was unexpected to suddenly see this sort of. It's like and the same in Highbury. If you go around the corner and you're just going to smile all the way down that street.
People do. They make a detour down that street. And also what they've done there, the community there, they've all planted up their tree pits. Okay. Yeah. So that you've got these street trees. Well, they all go out there and they plant the pit around it. They put bulbs in there and they put annuals in there, and it just transformed. I mean, we are now escaping outside of the front garden, because that's what happens when people get enthused about gardening and horticulture and front gardens. It can sometimes spread, and you get when people start chucking seed bombs everywhere, and
it's called seed bombing.
No, I know.
It's called guerrilla gardening.
Guerrilla gardening. A bit of guerrilla gardening spreads out, and I love all of that.
And they've also got them. I mean, this is in front gardens. This goes to back gardens. Is the alleyways between houses, particularly in the north, in Manchester. I think they're called ginnels.
Ginnels, yeah.
Where there's this narrow alleyway, and rather than being somewhere where you put the rubbish, which is what I think it was, planting them and making something exciting, and that's another big sort of community thing. So I think the front gardens are about a number of things. Front gardens are primarily about community, I think, because you've all got the same space. The back garden, you've got more space to actually do more individual things. But it's the same small things. It's something that everybody walks through every single day. I think that if you can park a car there, then that's great. But just be careful how you do it.
Ideally, don't park a car there.
Ideally, don't. But
Get an
but
electric
I can understand
bike.
why.
Get a bike.
Yeah, but if you're going to plug your car in.
Yes.
Then you sort of need to be off the street a bit as well.
Well,
otherwise you've got to cape. I mean,
this is the modern world we live in.
It's the modern world. You got to dodge around the bins and all those sorts of. But front gardens are important. Yeah. Really, on a number of different levels.
And hedges are important. If you can put a hedge in. So that's why this guy, Mr. Bush, is going around trimming all these overgrown privet, whatever. But hedges filter the wind, and actually for pollution, they're good as well. You get dusty summer, they're better than a fence or a hard vertical.
They're also very good at catching litter.
Well,
which I think is quite a lot of car parks. There's sort of bushes that are there because it's very easy to gather all the litter in one place.
The problem is no one comes and actually takes the litter out.
But you are, because your front garden, your street has now become this bustling, this thriving, this buzzing community where everybody's looking after everybody else. And if
so you go and pick your litter from your neighbour's hedge?
Yeah.
Is that a commandment? Thou must.
No, it's not. Thou must. Thou wants to.
Thou shalt.
Thou wishest.
Thou wishest.
Thou wishest to do that. But going back just briefly to the design of a front garden.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, you have to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
in a straight line, because you can put a decorative path in there, but if it takes too
Not
long
too
to get
wiggly,
there,
not too
you're not going to
wiggly.
do it, are you? Ready? So that means if your door is on the left-hand side, you've got a big gap on the right-hand side. So if you were going to plant a front garden...
sorry, because you might have the door on the left-hand side, and then you might have the gate on the right-hand side, which might create a gentle meander, a little bit of movement, coming back to movement.
A diagonal.
A diagonal, but it can't be too wiggly, I agree. But if you've got the front door on the left-hand side and the front gate lines up with it, then your planting is onto onto one
so
side.
Then you've definitely got room for a tree. I mean, it depends entirely on the house, but we got room for trees. What other things would be good in a front garden?
Maybe.
Oh, going back to episode 5 where we talked about trees. Go back and listen to that.
Yeah,
that's full of wisdom and stuff. So
but
other things.
A little bench in there. You can have plants. I always put winter scented plants in a front garden as well, because those winter scented plants, your sarcococcus and your chimonanthus and all that sort of stuff, if they're in the back of a garden, it's sort of January, February, you're probably not going to go to the back of your garden and just have a little whiff of them. But in your front garden, like you said, you're going to interact with that stuff every day, if not more than one. I mean, often several times a day.
And in the summertime, something you can brush some rosemary or some lavender or something like that, so you're actually brushing against that as you walk past.
As long as it's sunny enough, James.
As long as it's sunny and dry enough, which it will be for some things.
We could do a little plant list. No.
We
don't want to do that.
We could do a plant list, but we've done a plant list. We've just done a little plant list now.
And
things
also
that work well.
the tree you talked about, creating a bit of shade and cool, and so something deciduous. Because I think in the winter, you want the leaves to drop, and you want that light. You want the light coming in. So I mean, even a winter flowering cherry. I put many a winter flowering cherry into a garden. So sort of it's got a lovely delicate feel.
It's sort of okay. Just to be argumentative.
What?
I like a winter flowering cherry very much.
Yes,
but it's a bit wimpy. I mean, it's okay. The
delicate.
advantages of it.
I call it delicate.
It is delicate.
I'm showing my delicate side. Everyone thinks I'm a bully.
It will flower. It will flower whenever it gets warm in the winter. Basically, is the essence of it. But it's never quite enough. I quite like a more muscular cherry that actually does its stuff at the cherry time, goes da-da, and does it rather than just trickling it out.
But they stay small. Most of them stay nice and small.
They do
It's a
now, I see the
consideration.
advantage. I've planted gardens with lots of them in it, and it sort of works. It works well. But there are other choices that
There's loads of other. There's plenty of other choices.
I like a rowan in a front garden. Is quite nice.
Yeah,
because it gives you some berries. I think if you've got space, a fruit tree in a front garden is a good idea. To have that there. Go on, give me another tree apart from your winter flowering cherry.
Well, why are we into? We've done a whole podcast on cheese, so we don't want to go back to cheese.
It's not cheese again.
No, we don't need to do trees. But the point is to get a proportion of planting to the hard landscape, and it's also climbers, because we're thinking of the elevation of the house.
Yes.
So soften the house, or the junction between the house and the paving. South facing. I love to see a well pruned wisteria in a front garden, because you're sharing that wisteria with everybody else, but it has to be pruned and it has to be beautiful.
It has to be nicely
It's got to be nicely done. But there's that whole elevation around the windows, maybe clipped pyrocanthus, all burglar proof too. That's bandy one.
That's another thing. But the on the wisteria, that's another thing you can share with your neighbours. Because if you've got a terrace of houses, because a wisteria is a big plant, and that can do at least 5 houses on each side. So it's actually sharing it and keeping it together. The other classic tree for a front garden is a magnolia. Yeah, magnolia works really, really nicely as a front garden tree. Do you think that's enough horticulture?
That's way too much horticulture.
I think that's enough.
The front gardens, express yourself, do your own thing. Don't just make it a space for the bins and the cars. And a lot of people will only have a front garden to garden in.
Correct.
And I just love, and it's not just for you, the front garden, it's for anybody and everybody who walks past it, which might put a bit of pressure on you.
No, but it's quite nice just for us as gardeners to walk along and it's something to look at. You naturally look into other people's front gardens.
Well, sitting on the top of a bus,
driving around, is great.
Going around a town or a city, and looking into people's front gardens. I like that.
Yeah, no, that's very nice. So front
Is there
gardens,
anything you should never do in a front garden?
I think it will be a really bad idea to take up naturism in a front garden, to be perfectly honest. I think if you're going to do that, do it round the back.
Well, there's only a certain type of people who's going to do that, and they're going to do it for a reason.
I think the other thing that you should
Which is to be viewed
from
the top of the 24 bus.
The other thing you shouldn't do in a front garden is have bonfires.
No, I think that's very good advice, especially not near the gas meter.
Okay, we've done front gardens. We can come back to them. Any of these subjects that we talk about in these podcasts, we may well come back to them.
We could just change the name. We could just call them sort of gardens, not at the back of the house. And you got a whole new podcast there.
The opposite of back gardens.
Because we're putting these out every week, Jimmy. You know, we're putting the effort in here, and we are getting through the subjects. But I do think this could run.
I think we can come
for
back
as long as we can live.
That's quite
a challenge.
That's a strapline, isn't it? The podcast that keeps going until the host drop dead. Okay. The second half of the Square Pound Gardening podcast is given over to you, the listening public, from wherever you are listening, from a bath in Australia to a bus stop in Winnipeg, from where else can we go?
Let's go to like Korea or somewhere.
From a dog walk in Seoul.
Seoul, yeah.
To where should we
South
go?
America, Mexico.
No, what are we going to be doing? From
Cancun.
From a small front garden in Quito.
Nice.
Yeah? Our listeners are everywhere, and we take questions. However, we have certain...
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is.
More we talk about how global we are, the more global we will become. We're going to be doing the world tour soon.
So what we've got questions. Now, we welcome questions from our listeners.
Yeah, I think people are getting the hang of it as well.
They're hopefully getting the hang of it. But what we don't do, just to remind them, certain things, we have certain criteria. If you send us a question about a dead plant, what will you do to that question, Joe?
I'll probably shred it and put it on the compost heap.
There we go. And that would be a very environmentally secure
and
way
what
of
else don't we talk? What else don't we answer?
If you send us a dull question,
yes, what happens to that, James?
We will put it on the floor and we will dance on it. Basically, is what we will do.
Don't, because that's that might be what people want us to do.
Okay,
a jig.
But if you send us a question that we like and is interesting and we think will work, then we will send you a gnome. I'm going to do the first question.
Okay.
Give me a number between 1 and 5.
1.
1. Okay, so I'm going to take the first card because we like to make it fair.
You got the hang of it.
Verica tea.
Sorry?
I mean, that's not a statement. That's a name. Verica.
Oh, Verica.
Verica. Berika.
Verica.
Hello, James and Joe. This is my gardening question. Oh dear, not a good sign. Gardening question. Why my perennial plants, such as echinacea, heleniums, erismiums, lupins, achilleas, some salvias, penstemons, rudbeckia, died down completely and never come back again in my perennial border? I tried number of years to replace them and improve soil, but still no success. I have clay soil. I mix compost with sand, grit, and topsoil every year to top my perennial border. Are you still awake?
Yeah, it's just about what. Do we know what part of the world? Very
absolutely no idea at all.
I think she's in somewhere that gets very, very cold and wet,
or very, very hot, and dry.
Okay,
it could be either. Either could be the problem.
No, because I'm taking. You know where I'm getting my clue from. The name Verica sounds somewhere Eastern European.
Very possibly.
I've heard we're very big in Poland, James.
We're huge.
We're massive.
Huge in Bulgaria.
But I think it's sustained wet and frozen soil in the winter. But I haven't really got a clue. And why are we answering this question? Because this is not the sort of question that we should be getting.
Do you know what we're going to do with this question?
We're going to do. You're not dancing on it.
Put it on the floor and dance.
Oh
on
no!
It. No, I mean it's maybe okay. Maybe that's a bit mean. I think. I mean, I admire Verica's attention to detail. That she's listed 1, 2, 3, 4,
Quickly,
5,
can you
6,
quickly rattle
7,
through
8.
those perennials again. I'm trying to see the garden.
Echinacea, heleniums,
Yeah.
erismiums,
Yeah.
lupins, achilleas, some salvias, but not all of them, penstemons and rudbeckia die down completely and never come back. So we'd expect them to die down completely because they're all perennials.
Yeah, but some of them aren't that hardy, are they? I mean, the salvias and the penstemons might not be really hardy. So maybe I think it's sustained cold and wet Verica. There you go.
Alternatively, Verica, it's sustained heat and dry. So there we go.
Yeah.
We've covered every option.
Or you got a terrible slug problem. It's eating all of them.
Is Garria going to hang out with Verica?
Oh, we've still got hundreds of these things.
Okay, Verica,
Yeah, you get it. You get a Garria.
you get it. But send us another question and make it a little less dull next time.
Yeah,
Okay?
Always.
You can choose a card.
as always. I'll just go for one in the middle. Okay, Mark. A good solid name. Our 12-week-old lab puppy. We're vets now. Whilst attracted to every plant in the garden, is magnetically drawn to the mint bed. We have checked this is okay and gives the puppy great smelling breath. Ha ha. We have checked this is okay and gives the puppy great smelling breath. Ha ha. Oh, he's either printed that twice or Louis
Okay,
printed it out
yeah.
twice. Anyway, any other tips on dog herbs or veg?
Dog herbs.
On dog herbs.
Dog herbs.
Well,
This is
anything-
a Monty Don question,
Yeah, but
basically.
do you think it's what we can feed the dog, herbs or veg, that's going to make its breath smell good? Is that the question? I don't know.
Hang on, read it. Okay, so
Okay,
basically,
our 12-week-old lab puppy, whilst attracted to every plant in the garden, is magnetically drawn to the mint bed. We've checked this is okay and gives the puppy great smelling breath. Ha ha. That's what he says. I
Yeah,
didn't say.
okay.
Any other tips on dog herbs or veg?
I've known
That's
dogs.
not a tip. Is he trying to say that's a tip?
I had a dog who liked a carrot.
Did you? Is
They
this a
like
joke?
to eat carrots. No, it just
Oh.
a carrot is quite a good thing to give to a dog.
Okay.
They quite like carrots.
Right.
Not as much as donkeys like carrots. Donkeys very keen on carrots.
You can chuck them an apple and they'll think it's a ball, right? But
Yeah.
I've never had a dog. I've got a slight admission to make here, and we're probably going to lose 90% of our podcast listeners, which is going to be a bit of a shame considering we've spent such a long
Years.
time and effort and years building it up. But I'm not the biggest lover of dogs.
We know that. You've said that already.
Oh, have I said that already?
Yeah.
Oh, am I boring you now?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we ban dog questions from Scribe?
No, because I like dogs.
Okay, you answer the question. Over to
Okay.
you then. Here, you
No,
go on,
no,
answer it then.
there is no
Go on
answer-
then.
there is no
Any
answer
other
like that.
tips on dog, herbs, or veg? Go on, Jimmy.
No.
No.
No,
That's
no,
the
I
answer.
haven't got any other tips. No.
Okay.
Basically, my question, my suggestion is ask Monty Don.
Ask Monty.
He's the dog expert. He's got lots and lots of dogs.
Yeah.
So ask Monty. I think it's nice to have your dog because Labradors tend to get a bit stinky after a while.
Right.
Particularly when they get old. So if your dog is rolling in mint, then it's better than rolling in fox shit. That would be my main tip.
Yeah.
Is so encourage the mintiness and steer off the feral animal dung.
That is probably some of the best advice I've ever heard actually in horticulture. Do they get a Garria? Does Mark get a Garria for that? You decide because you're the dog lover.
I'm the
around
dog
here.
expert. Yeah, because all dog experts are suckers for a gnome.
Is that what? Is that the okay? That's
Yeah,
the rationale behind it.
all people, yeah.
There you go. Well done,
Anybody
Mark.
who's got a dog gets a gnome. No, that's actually too wide.
No, because I'll have to say everyone who's got a cat's going to get a gnome as well
That
because
means
that's
then what do we
parity.
do? What do we do with guinea pigs?
Exactly.
Hamsters.
There
Okay,
we
so Mark does not get a gnome.
Okay.
It's tough, but you got to live with it.
Yeah.
Come back with a better question next time. Is it my question? It's my question. That was yours. Hi, Joe and James. It's the wrong way around. And so, the answer, you don't never say hi, Deck and Ant, do you, really? So it should be James and Joe. I am renovating a rather neglected garden in Wales. I'm not going to do a Welsh accent. The garden contains, the garden contains a small pond fed by a spring for part of the year.
Lovely.
Next to the pond is a very large, old, healthy Gunnera manicata.
Gunnera.
A Gunnera.
A Gunnera.
A Gunnera.
No, you called it a Gunnera.
A Gunnera. Well, it's Welsh.
Yeah.
I'm planning to extend the pond to include a bog garden, but I do not want to affect the conditions the Gunnera is growing in. Do you have any advice on the design of the pond which will ensure the Gunnera remains happy? This is far, far, far too gardening.
That is way too gardening. Thing is, I know I'm really good on bog gardens and ponds, but I'm going. What do I do? I don't know, James. Do I go? Do I offer advice, or shall I just stay stum?
Okay. I'm gonna offer an interesting fact. In that Gunnera manicata is a banned plant now.
Yes,
you're
that's
not allowed to plant it because it's been proven to be a noxious weed. Because there are two sorts of Gunnera. One of them is manicata, and one of them is something else, and I can't remember what it's
smaller
called.
one.
And one of them is invasive, and one of them isn't. And they've become so intermingled and interbred that nobody can tell the difference between the two of them any longer.
Okay, right.
So that's my interesting fact. Okay, you are allowed, and I'm going to time this. You are allowed 22 seconds of sensible information about bog gardens, starting now.
So the pond, imagine pond overflows, it's lovely and naturally fed, so it will overflow. You can create a natural overflow. So next to it, you can create a bog garden just by where it naturally overflows. And that is where you put in your other bog-loving plants. And if the soil's too rich...
That's it.
Okay. Well,
22 seconds. I think that was good quality information, though.
there was no. I was just teeing it up, frankly. But okay, come on, let's move on.
Okay, I don't know who sent this to us.
Oh.
But whoever they are, do they get a gnome?
Well, if we don't know who they are, we can't send them a gnome.
Well, if we know, we'd like to send a gnome to Wales because we like the Welsh. They're lush, is what they say in Wales.
I love this.
My favourite Welsh word.
My wife is half Welsh, actually. She does a very good Welsh accent because I can't get away with it. Fran from Herefordshire.
Close to Wales.
What garden thug would you never allow in your garden? Plant thug, of course. Oh, plant thug. Oh, I see. Got it. Sorry, just a joke.
Oh, okay. Try again.
Okay. I'm going to try a different delivery here.
Okay.
James, okay. Fran from Herefordshire. This is going really smoothly.
Okay, deep breath.
Fran from Herefordshire asks, what garden thug would you never allow in your garden? Plant thug, of course. Beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I wouldn't have a Gunnera. I wouldn't have a Gunnera manicata.
Would you have... I've planted a willow herb in my garden.
Oh,
before.
I was just about to say willow herb because...
There was a really nice... Well, there is a really nice one, which is... willow herb, usually roadside, streamside weed, quite tall, quite pretty, pink flower, late summer. Think, oh, that'd be nice. Except if you plant it in your garden, it spreads like an idiot.
It does.
There was one that doesn't.
Okay.
This is horticultural information.
Wow.
Which is called Epilobium. That's a
Epilobium is
Epilobium style rose.
Style rose.
Style rose, and it's white with a sort of...
Style.
Style, S-T-A-H-L. I think it
Style.
might be German.
Okay.
German.
Let's upset the Germans while we're at it.
Style rose, which is white with a sort of pink middle to it, pink, and it's a very, very pretty plant. And it doesn't spread as much as the others.
Okay, doesn't spread as much as the others.
It still
it's not
spreads.
sterile then.
No, it's not sterile, but it doesn't run quite as much.
Yeah. But no, the other epilobium seed, it just seeds everywhere.
If you've got a really big garden with a really empty piece of ground, then you can get away because
and
there's
it's
a white.
beautiful.
There's a white
they are
epilobium.
beautiful as well.
Yeah. There's a white one, there's style rose, but they are definitely thugs. So if you're doing if it's your front garden, for example, no, bad idea. Yeah. Small garden, bad idea. So that's my thug. Have you got another thug?
Well, there's all the bamboos now, which I think some of them are starting to be banned, aren't they? Or have been banned. I mean, I did put bamboos in 20, 30 years ago, and now we're taking some of them out with JCBs.
Yeah, I mean, they're big. I've got two. I've got 1, 2, 3 in my garden.
Have you?
Yeah. I mean, they're okay.
Careful.
Every so often there's one that comes up and you think, whoa.
Well, it's when they come at like 5 meters away and they start pushing through.
But mine are Philostachys, which tend to intrude less than others.
No, they say they're clump forming, but they clump form and then they go for it.
Exactly. So they do those things.
But that's not my choice. I was just throwing the bamboo bomb in there. But I would say the Clarodendran. I think I talked about Clarodendran bunggei, which is a suckering shrub, and it's also that's got that smell, which is not a nice smell. It's sort of, some people say peanut buttery, but it's not a nice smell. But it's fine. I had it in Hackney in a contained space surrounded by paving, so it was fine. And you can coppice it. And it comes up, it's got a sort of lovely pom-pom round flowers. It's very pretty, but it does seriously spread. And it went through to the neighbours, who loved it for a bit, and then it sort of went through to the, it does. So I wouldn't go for that Clarodendran again.
Well, that's like the classic one. The classic thug is the notweed.
Yeah.
That was introduced to...
By E.A. Bowles, I think.
No, yeah.
It was Bowles.
He planted it, but it was introduced by somebody... What's the Latin name for knotweed?
Is it
I can't remember. It was introduced by some bloke who brought it to Kew Gardens, is where it started.
Okay.
And it was always... Because it's pretty. Knotweed's a pretty plant. Nice. I think
It
it may
nice
well be a
plant.
polygonum. And then it spread, and now it's all over the place, and you have to get a license and inject it with horrible stuff and put a fence around it and all sorts
It
of
costs a fortune. It costs a fortune
costs a lot.
to get rid of it. And, people are not buying houses if there's a tiny bit of Japanese knotweed next door. I wanted to talk 20 years ago, and it was like, any questions? This woman put her hand up and she said, I've got this lovely plant. I don't know what it's called. And she described it. It had heart-shaped flowers and tubular stems, and she had it came from next door, and I've divided it all up and dotted it all around my garden, and we worked out it was Japanese knotweed.
Oh.
And so she had basically filled her garden with Japanese knotweed and devalued the property by quite a bit, and it was all a bit of a nightmare.
I remember building a garden in Herne Hill once, years ago, and seeing that the next door garden was full of this plant. I didn't quite know what it was because I wasn't as horticulturally savvy as I am now.
Yeah.
And we put these steps in, and then there was this plant. I thought, oh, that's quite nice, and it was literally all over the next door garden. Just we need to come under the fence and do stuff. But yeah, no, serious, but pretty, but
you're
not a good idea.
not going to plant one, so we're not answering the question.
We're not going to plant one. Okay, so
we like. That's
was
a
the
good question about garden thugs.
Yeah, okay, so we've done garden thugs. I think that's good. Do you know what we've done there, Joe?
What have we done there?
We've done a little bit of horticulture.
I know.
We've done a little bit of useful advice.
There was another one on that, wasn't there?
All right, was there another question?
Yes, there was another question. I'm going for a double.
Okay, is this the same person?
No.
So who was that?
No. We've got one other one from America here. That was Fran from Herefordshire.
Okay,
this is Susan from Oregon, USA.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it in an American accent.
Why not?
Because I only do New York like
New
that.
York.
No, I
New
don't.
York. Coffee.
I can't
Coffee.
do that. The tuna. I can't do the. I don't know what an Oregon accent is.
Oregon
like.
is West Coast, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so like all gardeners, I weed. Well,
Do you get your delivery right on this one?
That's a great opener, though. Yeah, like all gardeners, I weed. Let me say that's how like all gardeners, I weed. Full stop.
Okay.
I mean, there's not that many ways you can deliver that. Like all gardeners, I weed. Well, that's good. You keep weeding, Susan, because it's good for your health. So there are lots of plants that I end up pulling, but I have a few particular plant varieties that I, for no particular reason, loathe and find myself pulling with shocking vitriol. I'm wondering, am I the only one who does this? And if not, what are your most hated weeds?
Okay, so she's pulling plants. So we're talking about weed species now, rather than actual plants. Oh gosh.
No. What she's saying is that she's pulling out plants that are not weeds.
No, she's not.
Like all gardeners, I weed. There are lots of plants that I end up pulling, but I have a few particular plant varieties that I, for no particular reason, loathe, and I find myself pulling with shocking vitriol. Is she talking about weeds or
Yeah,
plants?
she's talking about weeds. Because the last sentence on that is...
Am I the only one who does this? And if not, what are your most hated weeds?
Yeah, hated weeds. So
it's
we're
all
looking
about
at hated weeds.
Oh,
So
I thought she started weeding her garden and just sort of like started seeing some plants that were
she didn't
too
like.
boisterous, she didn't like, and just started pulling them out as well.
No, she's not that sort of person.
Oh,
She's
know
not
her.
mindlessly aggressive,
You know
Susan.
Susan from
She
Oregon.
comes from Oregon. Everybody from Oregon is delightful.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
they're charming. We are very happy to come and talk to anybody. We're happy to do a live podcast from Portland anytime.
Most hated weed. I've got a bit of a bindweed problem at the moment.
I quite enjoy bindweed though.
It's not. You can't enjoy bindweed.
Yes, you can. I'll tell you why, because it's a slightly pervy thing that I probably shouldn't be admitting in public as well.
Where are we going?
But the idea of how long can you dig out the root, and so you're chasing it very, very gently through the soil. You're not pulling, because if you pull it, it's going to snap. So you're just going along and saying, "Oh, there's another bit, another bit, another bit." You know, the longest...
Until you find a big lump of clay where it's rooted in, and you can't pull it anymore, and you snap it anyway.
But how long can you get before you snap it?
That you find that what? Sexy or what?
No, I didn't say it was sexy.
Well,
I said it was fascinating.
No, you said it was a bit pervy or
well,
something.
I mean, it's just the idea of tracing it. Some people might think that's a little deviant.
Okay.
But I've had a bit that was probably the same height as me before now. So a long piece
as a
of
root.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that I think is one of my legacies that I'm leaving to history, is the fact that I pulled out a piece of bindweed root of that size. I mean, it didn't make no difference.
4 foot 8 long. Okay, so all right. So what's your most hated weed? Well, okay. Well,
I have a lot of ground elder.
Yeah,
but I don't hate it. Although it's quite nice. You can do a massive amount of. You can get a lot of weed, a lot of root from ground elder, because there's a lot of it. Mm-hmm. But actually, it's quite a pretty plant and does what it's supposed to do. But I suppose my most hated. I don't really like a sow thistle.
No.
Because apart from anything else, when you try and pull it, it tends to snap off and then it comes back. And do you know, it's a vindictive plant, of sow thistle, because if it snaps, instead of having one shoot, it comes back and it's got two.
Multi-stemmed.
Or three, and it's like the hydra.
Yeah.
When you cut off one head, another one grows, and another one grows from that. So there you go.
There's also mare's tail, which is all right. You know, it's I had it on my allotment years ago, and it doesn't take nutrients out of soil and stuff, but it just goes down for a long way down. And if you're gardening organically and not using any sprays and stuff, it's a real tricky one.
Even if you do use sprays, it wasn't going to work with mare's tail.
No, there are techniques. There are
secret techniques. We're not going to share
because
those.
we have on a couple of landscaping jobs, we have got someone in who's got you need a chemical spray license.
Yeah,
and they often thrash. They thrash the weeds first, and then it takes it in. And sometimes, if you've got a garden full of mare's tail and you want to create so this is taking us into a different world. We need to maybe do one on chemicals and all that in the future. It's a whole podcast, but is there? And Noel Kingsbury wrote about it a little bit on Scribe Hound, and I'd like to get his view on it. And about spraying something off to create a garden, or do you just spend all your time battling the weeds to start with, and then you can't get on with the gardening and all that sort of stuff. So there might be something in that. But I'm also thinking that the weeds in Oregon, where the lovely Susan is, might not be the same weeds that we have. So that might not be helpful for her
I think
at all.
Be similar, because that bit of the West Coast is sort of quite rainy, quite sort of. It's like that.
Do they have bindweed? Do they have sow thistle? Do they have mare's tail?
Probably not. They probably have other things. They have something.
But she definitely is going to get a gnome.
Oh, no, definitely, gnome.
Because we also want to up the bills for the postage fees for Scribe Hound.
Really, I mean, we will send them special delivery. Okay, I've got one more question here. Also in America, my gosh, the Americans love us. This is Chris from Virginia, USA. Virginia, the first place where the British settlers settled, I think, isn't it?
Well, don't mention that now.
James and Joe, the right way round. How do you handle those who have succumbed to current and pervasive gardening dogma? I'm looking at you, no-dig and native plant purists. Fine ideas in their place, but now raised to near cult status with severe penalties for any minor transgressions. Or are you part of the problem?
Wow.
P.S. If you use this question, I suspect my first line of defense will be a liberal brandishing of a small, green, rude gnome. So Chris is obviously definitely for a gnome. This is quite a serious question. Do you think I should read it in an American accent?
Yeah, go on, read it out again.
I don't think I can. Okay. How do you handle those who have succumbed to current and pervasive gardening dogma?
Oh, you're a mayor.
I'm looking at you, no-dig and native plants purists, fine ideas in their place, but now raised to near cult status with severe penalties for any minor transgressions. Or are you part of the problem? Yeah, sounds like a founding father.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so basically what they're talking about is it's different ways of doing things.
I think it's the diversity. People have their own ways, and some things work for them. Like the whole no dig thing, people are into it. You know, they swear by it, and it works for them. Yeah. And I think that's fine. And I don't think that we can all start saying this is the way to do it, that's the way to do it. And
I think the native plants thing is much more complicated in America than it is here.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that
here we haven't got enough to make a really beautiful garden from, and we're not going to be restricted to native plants.
Sort of kind of tricky, but I also don't like the idea of people imposing their ideologies on other people in gardens. I like the idea of the fact that the garden is your space and you should do whatever makes you happy. And if you want to grow nettles, then that's fine. If you want to grow really floribunda roses, then that's also fine. It's whatever makes you happy. If you can do it in conjunction with wildlife, which you will do, because whenever you plant something, other creatures will turn on. You know, whatever happens.
But I guess he's saying that the garden has become a battleground for political correctness. I mean, there are huge environmental issues in the garden and how you approach your garden.
Of course.
Which affect people on a wider scale, but...
I don't think he's not talking about spraying and chemicals here. He's talking about no dig and native no dig. I think is perfectly harmless. Totally, it's actually very effective.
Incredibly effective for a lot of gardeners. Yeah. Absolutely swear by it.
Definitely. I mean, I'm assuming. I mean, that's in this country. In Virginia, it may be slightly different. We'll see how we roll. Native plants produce. I would like to do a whole podcast about native plants. I think that would be too serious.
I think in the UK it could just be a bit. Have we got enough plants?
Yeah, but we can talk about we can do an American thing with it as well. I think it's important to have as many native plants as you possibly can, because they're obviously the plants that have adapted and evolved to live happily wherever you are. That's not a very good answer, is it? Should we just give him a gnome?
Let's just send him a gnome. He'll be well happy. That's
on.
all he wants is a gnome.
I think this is a huge subject, and one that we should come back to at some point. Yeah. I just like the idea of pervasive gardening dogma. And I also quite like my impersonation of a small-town American mayor.
I thought you were brilliant, James. And I think if we ever did a podcast about that, you've got to keep that accent all the way through. All the way through
It's the sort of thing that people really appreciate, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's that kind of thing. Okay, I think that we've reached the end of that one. That was fun. Did you have a nice time?
Yeah, it was great. Well, it's always fun with you, Jimmy.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it?
It's
Sitting
lovely.
in this small area.
I do like the questions, though.
I like the questions. I love the fact that people are sending us stuff from all over the world.
Oh, I love the fact that people might be listening to us, really.
Do you know what we haven't had yet?
What?
An Australian question. I want an Australian question for the next podcast, please. People listening.
You mean a question from Australia?
A question from
That's
Australia. That will be further.
Not about native Australian plants.
Because I'm going to go away and I'm going to practice my Australian accent in waiting for that.
I can't look forward to that.
Get away from that. In the meantime, thank you very much indeed for listening to us. If you want some more of the Scribe-Hand Gardening love, you can get it by subscribing to Scribe-Hand Gardening, where lots of stuff will happen.
There's a stable of fine writers on a daily basis.
Thoroughbred writers.
That's it.
In the stable. And every day a new writer will plip elegantly.
Plip?
And,
what's that mean?
It means it's going to plip elegantly and yet seductively into your life.
Wow.
Every day a different writer who will write something for you and read it to you as well. But in the meantime, we will be back next week from me, James Alexander-Sinclair, and
me, Joe Swift. I'm just going to say one thing, because I always have to get in there at the end. What we do is now, this is the modern terminology, we say this podcast drops every Tuesday. Do you like, because that's like if someone brings out a new song or a record or a tune, it drops. It's dropping next Wednesday. And so we've got to say that about the podcast. It's dropping every Tuesday, Jimmy.
I think I prefer plip.